Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. Today we talk about the Labor Party and the 2023 general elections. My guest is a spokesperson for the Labor Party Presidential Campaign Council. She's a former politician and human rights activist, Ndi Kato. Welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you for having me.
I must begin by saying that it's been over a month now, at least about a month, since you were named a spokesperson for the Presidential Campaign Council. How have you found it? Because I know you've been in politics for a while, and it's perhaps unprecedented that a party of this nature would have this kind of attention without a merger or an alliance. So how's it been for you this past few weeks?
It's been hectic. I mean, expectedly, it's been hectic. I mean, I'm used to speaking on TV. I've been an analyst and all of this since my 20s, but nothing prepares you for this. I think I and Nana are basically the first set of women to do this kind of job officially as spokespersons for presidential campaigns. I don't know if you've heard of any other female woman?
You mean the APC?
No, I mean spokespersons, like an official spokespersons for spokespersons.
There's Hannah too in APC.
So it's the same set.
Okay.
We're the same set. So this is the first time that Nigerian politics is getting to this level of doing that for women. I think the attention is a bit different. You get so much, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's been good so far. The reception has been good so far. Nigerians need people they can relate to. So it was very important for Labour Party to choose persons like me and choose persons like Nana Kazaure. People need, this election is greatly decided by two groups, women and youth. Really, if you put them together, are the largest voting group right now, and going to be great deciders in this election. So it's a masterstroke to look at women, number one, and young women, and cancel out with the two of us. And I think we've been doing a great job. Some channels are a bit more tricky than others, but we've been at it. And I think that the most important thing here is, look, Peter Obi, I see that other people have time to play games and throw words back and forth. But my job is to market Peter Obi. My job is to remind people why this is, or inform and remind why Peter Obi is the best candidate. And that is what I turn up to do every day.
Oh, great. So let's talk about you now. Let's find out how credible you are. When I speak with spokespersons of presidential campaign organizations, I like Nigerians to get to know who it is that is trying to sell this particular candidate. I don't know if many people know that you were a politician yourself. At some point, you decided that you've had enough. In fact, I think that in 2020, after you aspired to run for the State House of Assembly in Kaduna State, you felt like you were no longer doing this. And in your own words, you said you would love to focus on promoting political conversations, pushing for women's rights, women's inclusion, and fighting for human rights. You also went further to say that you're taking much-needed break from partisan politics. And I think the concern would be, what did you see in politics? It seems that you were frustrated out of politics.
So politics, I used to be in the PDP, and more than anything, politics is a leveler. And that's not something I'm used to. My mom was a lecturer of English and African literature. My dad worked in the Ports Authority. I grew up with intellectuals all around university campuses. And so coming into politics and, you're just surrounded with all sorts of people. The intellectual conversation often gets thrown out of off the table, and it's quite difficult. You have what you bring to the table. Sometimes people might not bring things to the table. All sorts of people are coming together for the same goal, and it's not easy. When I ran for office, one of the frustrating things where people tell me, because, I ran because I wanted to provide solutions. I started providing solutions. I come from Southern Kaduna. Of course, there's the farmer heather issue over there, and I was trying to find solutions for that. And after a while, I realized that those of us who were trying to find solutions were not necessarily in politics. All the meetings, all the peace and conflict resolution committees and all of that, I started asking, why is it that it is non-politicians, people who are not in spaces where they actually have the power to create change, that are in these spaces, but those who have the power to create change are not honoring these invitations? So I said, you know what, I'm going to try going into politics. And some of the responses I got, after trying so much, providing relief materials, bringing so much attention of the media to the killings and all of that happening back home, some of the responses I got was, oh, we've never really had a woman run for this level of office in our local government. When I went to pick my my nomination form, I was told, oh, it's really great that you're coming to get this. You're not going to win. I was told point blank, you're not going to win. It's good to meet you, but just keep going, you'll be noticed. And I was running to win. I wanted to win. Another told me it's a shame that I'm not a man, that if I was a man, I would have been told, they would have said they have gotten the next leader for Southern Kaduna. Unfortunately, I'm a woman, and, this is not, I'm not going to get this. You're not used to. So I then realized then that, oh, there's more of a battle ahead of me. Now you have to go fight these battles. Now you have to make sure that women get into politics. There's so much more to do. Another experience I had running for office that I'm not used to was, at the time you have to canvass for funds. It's such a capital-intensive thing, and that is why I appreciate what Peter Obi is doing with the Obidient movement, what the Obidient movement is doing. They've taken a lot of the weight off the money politics of Peter Obi's neck. That's what happens when people are passionate about an issue. So I had to cough out a lot of money, had to raise funds, and once people put their money in your hands and people start talking, like it's such, I think that's not an experience. In fact, some people went as far as saying that I didn't run for office at all. I collected their money and ran away. And I think social media raised 1.7 for me, and I've spent so much, had to sell my car. I left that experience much poorer than I entered into it. Until today, you still have back and forth. I think it's
Did you lose that election?
Yes, I did. I came third. Of which, if you ask the person who won, Ali Kalat, Honorable Ali Kalat, is my uncle. And I remember them saying, where did I even get the votes I got from, I got on the day of the primaries from. It was such a terrible experience sitting there, and I don't know how politicians do it. They are calling the names, and your name is showing up every 5 names. That's when your own name shows up. But I think at the end of the day, I got about between 18 to 25 votes. And they were mostly women. I really appealed to the women. A lot of these people, a lot of the delegates were put in by people, and it's really, really difficult to get those delegates when the powers that be put them there, and the powers that be have told the delegates to vote for another group of people. So I came third in that. And
but was it a credible election? Was the process fair to you at all?
I would say, I don't want to point fingers. I don't think it was fair to anyone, even the person.
Because like I started off the conversation, you appeared frustrated out of politics.
Yes. It wasn't fair to anyone, but I also think that at the end of the day, Honorable Ali Kalat had done so much to win that election. I think that the democratic process needs to be more democratic. We shouldn't use the carrot and stick approach. Sometimes when you go to vote, they would ask you to write numbers on, they'll give you numbers and you have to tally those numbers, and when they are counting, if your number does not show, it means that you did not vote for the person that they asked you to vote for. There's so much that goes on in these processes that are not fair, and of course there needs to be an overhaul of the party system. But I would say that the person who won really worked hard, as the rest of us did, and he won.
There are some aspects of politics that the voters may not be aware of, but it's a political party thing. I was speaking with Natasha Akpot, who is the Kogi Central senatorial candidate, who has also spent some time in politics. And she said, I think in 2019, she was declared unfit to run for office because she was single.
There's that.
It raises a question. You as well are single. Was that a factor for you? Have you had to go through that kind of embarrassment, if I must say?
It's terrible. That people first look at you as a small girl. I was in my 20s, so there was that. They look at you as a small girl. They look at you, irrespective of what you've achieved. And the other girl who ran with me, Tessie, had her husband standing in certain places when she was quite ill. I didn't have, and just generally not being taken seriously if you're not married. Just generally, there's also the part of people making advances. But I think that happens to married women too. So it's not limited to unmarried women. People making advances and all of that. Every time you're going to try to say something serious, there might be one person that thinks this is an opportunity to make advances at you. So that wasn't...
Since we're talking women and politics, I'd like to think that you're particular about women and politics with regards to how political parties present opportunities to these women. You've now chosen to support the Labor Party, and I'm curious, what sort of support has the Labor Party extended to women in politics within the party that earns your respect?
Of course, you can see that in key positions, you're not scared to put women. Looking at the fact that I remember when Yunus Atanko reached out to me. This is a Northwestern man, and you know what it is like in the North where we come from with women's participation. But there was no conversation about my gender. Yunus Atanko was very keen about, look, this is what you have to offer, and we're so excited to have you on board. He was so excited. There was literally no how would men perceive this or how would the rest of the nation perceive a woman. They went straight to, this is your ability, this is what you can deliver, and we know you can deliver for us. So as much as I appreciate where Labour has come, I'm also looking at the fact that, look, my participation in here enables me to bring in my activism to ensure that more is done, and we're really working towards that.
You know, 2 years after quitting, you're back to politics.
I'm back.
You may not be on the ballot, but this is active politics.
It is. Right from the first week, I was like, oops, I'm back. I really thought that this
But did you join the Labour Party? Are you a card-carrying member of the Labour Party?
When I was, this is one of those things that, you know, the cart came before the horse, and now the horse has had to carry. We've had to move the cart back to the horse. That I was brought in to speak on behalf of Peter Obi, and after. And
at the time, you were not a member.
No, I was not a member. Like this is, I mean, like I've said this before, that at the core of these elections is of Peter Obi's campaign is volunteerism. So it might be a banker, it might be a cobbler, you know, anybody. We're just all trying to get something done. But as soon as you start putting in that much effort, you know, you put your hands on the plow. You're now asked, so are you in Labour Party? Once you're asked one too many times, you realize that, look, these two things come together. This man is running on that Labour Party, and if you're a spokesperson, you belong to this system. So I can't say that I'm speaking for Peter Obi and I'm not in the Labour Party. This is somewhere that I'm part and parcel.
I can tell that you have so much faith in Peter Obi.
Yes, I do.
It leads me to the question, do you have as much faith in the party? Is your support across board, or is it just for Peter Obi?
I mean, across board, I've had people reach out to me in Kaduna. Southern Kaduna, of course, is my own stronghold, that they're running for office, and we've been looking for ways to support in a little way that we can. Let me not downplay my support, not in the little way, in the way that we can. So there is that. We're hoping that this movement also affects the candidates who are running, and I think that any wise candidate who is running under the Labour Party will key into the movement to, you know, help the campaign at the level that you are. These things are intertwined, and the campaign helps you too. So there is that. We're really hoping that a lot of these people are able to win their seats. The Labour Party, one of the things I like about Labour Party, I mean, this is not a party that just stops at politics. It has great links in Labour Union, in TUC, and other unions around the nation. So this is a workers' party. This is a very convenient space for this kind of thing to be done. If a campaign looks like activism, you must go to the party that is most activist amongst the others.
Do you know why I ask that question?
Yeah.
Since this Obi Dati movement blew up, we've seen politicians from other parties, established parties, the PDP, the APC, move to the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And these are some of the politicians that perhaps Nigerians are trying to get rid of. And so would you be supporting people based on the fact that they are in the same party with you, regardless of the fact that they may have questionable personalities?
So, I mean, for me, in Southern Kaduna, we do not have questionable personalities running. Jonathan Asake and co are people that I really trust. Jonathan Asake has done really great work with Sokapu, Southern Kaduna People's Union. He has been such a great activist. We've provided solutions back home together, held several meetings about the issues going on back home together. So when I'm talking, I have direct reference to the people that I'm referring to, and these are people that have shown working. Of course, I will not be voting in all places around the country, but one of the things, again, look, I'm in an intersection between politics and activism, and one of the things I told a lot of people that are supporting the Labour Party is you need to join politics. I'm hoping that, you know, we're able to have this conversation as several things, right? So this is, you need to join politics, because when people see a good product, Terry Kumi, you cannot stop them from wanting to associate with that product. When people, good or bad people, see a product that is shiny, everybody wants this product.
Politicians will take advantage of any platform that they consider credible. So, yes. There are those who've been kicked out or denied tickets in different politics, in the APC and the PDP, who've seen the movement in the Labour Party and said, listen, we would like to go there.
So for me, the counter is, I told people, it's not enough to be obedient. And I hope that this helps pass the message. It's not enough to be obedient. You have to take a step forward, a step further, register with the Labour Party, participate, because any place you leave vacant, nature abhors a vacuum. Any place you leave vacant, what is going to happen is that people are going to come and see that this place is vacant, and they're going to enter. So this serves as a reminder, look, we're building something really great here. It's a shiny thing, it's really attractive, and people are going to come for it. And if we leave these spaces unfilled, people are going going to feel them, and we're seeing that happening. But I'm hoping that as we continue to speak, more people will realize. And, you know, one of the other issues is that at the time, you know, if he had joined 2 years ago, it would have given people enough time to run into some of these spaces. But at the time he joined, many people had not made up their mind to join politics. So this is a work in progress. This is a movement that is building and is going to continue going beyond the 2023 elections. And more people are going to join, and these spaces are going to be salvaged at the end of the day.
You know, tied to that is the fact that the argument that Peter Obi is still part of the old order isn't dying down any soon. So how do you react to concerns that there's nothing different from him, considering the fact that he used to be a member of the PDP? I think the straightforward question would have to be what distinguishes him from the others, considering the fact that he used to be a part of it.
I used to be a part of the PDP too. So here, with respect to that, you know, of course he hasn't won elections under the PDP, but we're not going to treat PDP like a disease here. We're not. A lot of good people have come out of that party. We have seen the likes of Okonjo-Iweala. Why not being partisan, being somebody that has been employed under the party and has done well? A lot of good policies have come out of the PDP. So let's not throw that away, right? At the same time, we are looking at a system that people are upset with. People have looked at PDP and say, you have not done enough. You know, there are corrupt individuals in this system, and why should this person come from here? Whatever system you have, there will be people who can function. It's politics. Sometimes, you know, when we tell people, you know, we complain that good people do not join politics. But the truth is, when you join politics in Nigeria, I told you earlier on in this conversation, politics is a leveler. There are all sorts. And you have to roll up your sleeves and just join and keep going. What we would look at instead of, oh, which party did he belong to, is the antecedents of this person. What has he done? What are those things that are connecting people to this man? From education to insecurity to what he did in the health sector. All of those things. I mean, I know that this question is going to lead you to you asking me key points on this. But this is a man that has shown that. This man has built trust over time. You know, a lot of people from Anambra, and the call started from inside the house. A lot of people, I remember when this started, young people were posting, when I was head boy, when I was the best graduating student, this is what Peter Obi did. Look at the transformer he brought to make sure that our school was running on electricity. Look at the number of computers that he bought, to the point that HP even commented that, you know, this is the largest purchase you have seen in the Middle East and Africa. You know, look at the cars he bought to enable security during his time, to the point that, you know, the last 3 years of his tenure, there was no armed robbery in Anambra State. Look at, you know, people have things to point at. There's also the part that, you know, his money management skills and how much he was able to live for a state like Anambra. There's an antecedent, there's history. People have seen this man like, yes, he participated in Nigerian politics, because politics is a conduit to governance. And you cannot say, at this point, Terry, we do not have people who can run as independent candidates. And that's quite unfortunate. Again, in the activist part of me, we're still fighting for that. But while we don't have that, people have to join political parties. And when you join political parties, you're going to be in the mix with all sorts. But the thing that sets Peter Obi apart is when he joined, there's so many things he did to make sure that his name stands apart. Even his process of winning office, even going to the courts to make sure that he wins election. I mean, he's the first governor to have achieved that. All of those processes, even the court cases that came with that, set us on the path we are in today for people to reclaim their mandate. So this man has successfully set himself apart. It's not about where did you participate. He has to. We keep telling people, don't fold us. You don't say it's only bad people. If you don't participate, it's only the bad people that will participate. And then when they participate, like, oh, they're a member of the old guard. He had no choice. This is the route he had to take, the conduit towards good governance, and he delivered.
You know, you were right. I would ask you about those the antecedents in details. We'll talk about them one after the other eventually. But let me ask you this question. I've listened to you talk about the need for people to do away with the conversational structure, and talk about the need for people to ignore what transactional politics is, because that will not obtain with the Labor Party.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, considering the status quo, you know, we cannot do away with what is visible or what the country is used to. And for many people, this is not something we can wish away. It does exist. How are you convincing the people in the rural areas who are practically used to being handed gift items, food items, in preparation for the elections? How are you able to convince them, or have you been able to convince them that without giving them that, they could have a better future if they vote for Peter Obi? A
lot of these people, we've gone beyond convincing. Many of these people are those who you should also be asking, so how are you going to be able to convince your next neighbor since you're a believer now? Because a lot of these people are part of those who are...
At the rural areas,
yes,
where they don't have electricity?
At the rural areas, that's sadly though that they don't have electricity and internet like the rest of us. I mean, that's a great group of Nigerians. But we've had people, you know, at the rural areas. I've had calls from my village, you know, in Jamaica local government again, people saying, look, this movement has really blown around here. Everybody's speaking about Peter Obi. In places where Peter Obi has never been to, people are calling his name. So for those who have been converted, what we're doing is door-to-door campaign. Each one tell one, each one tell 10. Preach about this. And the good thing about this is you're not going with the normal, you know, oh, it's siyasa. I mean, this is Hausa. That's called politics in Hausa. You know, siyasa, come and just, you know, support our guy. This is what we stand to benefit monetarily or anything. You have a key message. Whoever is going out actually believes. The person believes. The person is going out with no financial inducement on their own end, nothing to gain beyond good governance. And it is with that passion people are passing the message on. And as they are passing the message on, it goes on and it spreads like wildfire with that passion. So we have this door-to-door. Of course, look, every step of the way, Terry, people have doubted. People have said, oh, you people are just posting on social media. It's just social media. Where is it going to go from here? And then people like, you know what? First they said 4 people. And then it looked like, you know, these people have now dominated the social media space. And then they said it's just social media. And then these people came out to hold all of these rallies, pulled people out without financial inducements, trekked for kilometers, dominated the space, made campaigning much more difficult for other political parties. Because after looking at that crowd, now you have to spend so much money on people who are not even happy with you to come out for you. So every step of the way, and this is the next step, that rural step. And, you know, my point for the rural step is we're on it already. And the good thing about it is we're meeting fertile ground. Many people are already passionate about Peter Obi. Many people at the rural areas are willing to take this on without any financial inducement. Our work, 90% of the work has been done for us because people are willing, the ground is fertile, everybody wants change. But we're not leaning back and saying, oh, they're going to do it on their own. We're going to step further. And this is also a youth-led thing. A lot of young people have that energy, have that passion, and have the time to get this done. And people are doing it. I was at Zone 3 the other day, you know, the shopping center in Zone 3. And I always like to ask the question innocently because a lot of these people will not recognize me. And who are you voting for? And I remember at that, the market men at that shopping center said they went an extra step to make sure that INEC brought registration to that place and ensure that everybody in the shopping center registered and they all know who they are going to vote for. So people are, people are taking a very serious.
You know, I totally agree with you. But the people you speak about are the ones that are really close to civilization. There are those in the ungoverned spaces who have no idea how to cast a vote without getting something else in return. And I think that to an extent, some supporters of the Obidients movement, the Obidients, sort of understand that. Because I see that on social media, some of them are going the extra step to, on behalf of Peter Obi, make donations in anticipation, sort of understanding that, listen, these ones, you cannot explain to them. You cannot make promises without putting food on their table or putting some Naira notes in their palms. So is that something that the Obedient movement, that the campaign council would encourage, despite the fact that it is one of those that you do not support transactional politics?
One of the things, what I've seen, and I think that that is a good thing to do, is we are carrying out good advocacy and good projects for people. I mean, we're going to some rural areas, and while we're preaching to them, we realize that they don't have water. So instead of giving them cash, which is such a cruel thing to do, we solve a problem. And that's a problem that we would have solved anyway. So we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If you go to a rural area and they don't have that, you know, that machine thing that pumps the water for them, that is part of the outreach. I mean, we're looking at creative ways of taking this message. So we're not going to insult them with, take onions and give us your vote. Doing something that gets the entire community to come together and work on something while you push this message to them, it's a good thing to do. And I really like that these young people are using their own resources. My resources is entering inside too, to make sure that these things are done. We're preaching the message, we're getting things done in this community that years to come, they'll remember that, look, some people came here and they remembered us and they did something. And that is also showing that, look, when we win this election, these are some of the things to come, because this is all in a day's work.
You know, what I'm getting from you is almost this level of confidence that within a short time, this change will abruptly happen. But there are those who believe that it is progressive. This is not something that could happen within 4 months. I mean, there are those who commend what Peter Obi adds to the political space and commend the level of awareness of Nigerians, especially the youths. But they fear that the spread may not be attained within such a short time, that this is a gradual change that will come to the polity Do you see otherwise?
I think that there have been doubts every step of the way, right from when people started putting out their belief in Peter Obi, you know, right from when people started showing that they were willing to go any mile, any legal mile, to do things to ensure that has been voted. Like I said, if I said 4 people in a room, or it's just social media, and so with all of these things, every single time doubts have been cleared. When a movement like this shows up and people are not used to what they are seeing, what they are going to keep pushing forward is doubts. Oh, what if this happens? Or you people may not be able to, you people may not be able to. But what I'll say is every time they've said you're not going to be able to do this, what the movement and what these young people and what Obidients have done is to show that we can. Every step we can, and even blow it beyond your expectations. And when we blow it, they're like, oh, okay, yes, oh, okay, oh, everybody can do that. But no, not everybody can do what has been done. Not everybody can bring this level of emotional investment, physical and all sorts of investment to a campaign without inducement. So I think that I know that we're going to put all the doubters, I won't say to shame,
and
but
when?
we're going to clear their doubts right at the polls. I mean, as we're building, we're building in public. We're building right in the sight of the full public. You're seeing as we're going, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
You know, one thing that politicians do not take away from Peter Obi is this organic following.
Yeah.
They admit that this is something they would pay for.
They hold meetings about it, their campaign meetings.
So they admit that this is something that ordinarily
meetings.
the average politician would pay for. They see the crowds, they see the following, they see the donations and all that. But however, they do not believe. I know you don't like the conversation of structure, but they do not believe that a political party with no governor can win an election. What gives you the confidence? You understand politics, at least grassroots politics, because you've experienced it firsthand. And then I think you understand the importance of covering every polling unit. What gives you the assurance that despite these concerns, Peter Obi could win this election?
They have the big men, we have the people. That is it. We have the people on our side, and these are the people. It's not termites that vote, it's Nigerians, it's human beings. And these Nigerians have shown you time and again that this is the side they are on. Have you looked at taxis today? When you're driving around next time, just look into the next taxi beside you. You will see the Labor Party flag. These people are fully on board. All of those structures they were used to, getting, this driver, NURTW, in Abuja, in Kaduna, all of those spaces. Many of these people are in the labor movement. You see bikes and you see them with the stickers. You see, in people's shops, you see market women with the aprons. These are the voters. These were people, again, that used to need inducement. But these are people who have now gone a step forward. They are buying these things themselves.
And you are sure that your confidence is not being fueled by what you see within the city center?
Not at all.
Or within areas where civilization
not at all. Not at all. People are, and there's still, thankfully, this is a long campaign season, a long and winding campaign season. And there's so much more, so much can be done in the coming months to come. And these people are on board. If you look at the conversation of other political parties, it looks like, many people are hoping on election irregularities to win election. There's a major voice that is calling for clear elections, and it's the Obidients and Labor movement. When we're complaining about certain things, I'm not seeing as many people complain about the INEC recs, with the issues with INEC and all of that. It's Obidients that are calling these things out, because they know that the key to Peter Obi winning elections is a well-run election. It's a strengthened INEC, an INEC that is a strong, independent institution without the intervention of politicians. And that is what we are relying on. As long as that happens and we have free and fair elections, Peter Obi is sure to win. But you see, the other things that we're bringing and what you say with a lot of this structural conversation when we mention governors and all of these things, typically what should happen is, irrespective of who is there, the will of the people should be what should come to pass. But we're looking at these people, most times when we have these conversations, it's not that they have the ability to convince. You're not saying that, the governor of Kogi or any of these states has the ability to overwhelmingly convince people to buy. We're looking at where these people can use their power to shut down the system, use their power to overrun the system, and that's not right. So when we talk of structure, it should be that the will of the people all around the nation, this is how they are organizing themselves. And we should not look at these people as larger than life. One person has this much power, and his power is bigger than the institutions of the Nigerian state, and this person is going to use that power to override. No, that is not structure. Structure is the Nigerian people, and these people are everywhere, and they are going to ensure that we have a good election from their own part. What we then need from INEC is a fair and fair election that shows that what the Nigerian people are bringing, irrespective of how powerful a governor or a senator is, people will be able to tell them no, as they're telling them now, that you've not done things satisfactorily and we want to try a different way.
You know, understanding grassroots politics and the power of representation makes me question if, for example, state assembly members, federal House of Representatives members and senators who are directly in touch with their constituents will not be able to convince them based on perhaps the sort of engagements they have with them and sort of development they've been able to bring to their various constituencies. If they will not be able to convince them to vote for them and their party, instead of the Labor Party.
The movement has grown to the point, and I'm sure you have seen those posters, where people, even at the grassroots level, will put themselves, APC, running for House of Reps, President Peter Obi. It has gotten to that level where people from other political parties have had to attach, please, even though I'm running under this party, this is the person I'm campaigning for president. It has gotten to that level. This is a wind that is blowing in a very heavy manner. And even people from other political parties have admitted, look, we cannot, while I'm here, I have no choice. Maybe I should have run to Labour earlier, but I didn't know this was going to happen. I have no choice, I'm here. But please, guys, vote for me. I'm also campaigning for this guy. And that's what's happening in the rural areas. Also remember that, you know, this National Assembly legislators, National Assembly, you know, Senate, House of Reps, House of Assembly, they don't have such a high return rate. So people who are fighting for their lives are not people that will say, oh, because this person is here, we may not get votes. They don't have such a high return rate. Many of them do not, even from the primaries, many of them who are currently in power are not coming back. I remember after the elections what Femi Bajabamila was saying, and even, I don't know if the Senate president has even finished with his own encumbrances to come.
He's given up.
Oh, he has?
Yes.
Nice one. So,
you think that's nice?
Well, I mean, not for him personally, please. I have nothing against you. Not for him personally. I have things against how he runs the Senate, though, but not for him personally, just for the system, that, you know, the system should be allowed to function. INEC should be strengthened. Election results should not be overrun because somebody went to run for something else and came back. So that's why I said nice one. However, my point is, these people have their own issues. So a low return rate, they are fighting for their own lives. And in fighting for their own lives, Terry, they are also leaning onto the Peter Obi movement because of how powerful this movement is. And this is not hearsay. You're seeing it. You're seeing these posters. You're seeing these flyers. You're seeing people at the grassroots level saying, vote for me, but you can vote for this guy at the president, at the level of the presidency. So we don't have a problem with that. We have people from other parties doing free work for us, and that's good. That's a good thing, Terry. Because I've said this time and again, something different is happening with this election. Something different is happening. You've seen that instead of a candidate to spend so much money, people are bringing their own money. People are donating from all over to ensure that something is happening. So we must go to elections where people are emotionally invested. Every time I keep preaching this message, let's step away from inducement and pursue emotional investment.
Speaking of donations, did someone donate a jet to the campaign?
I can't confirm nor deny, but
we saw these images.
Yes, actually it was a donation. It was a donation. What I can't do is tell you the name of the person who donated.
Well,
but it was, and we're really, really grateful for that. I mean, see how far even people whose voices you are not hearing, are putting in their all. People are quietly, those who cannot come out and shout so much, people are quietly, and that jet has really helped. People are able to travel. I know how much other political parties spend on things like this, but we've even seen issues with, you know, I saw a complaint the other day of people using the Air Force jet. I think they were going to take relief materials or something, and they're like, these are politicians, why are they using that? But we don't have that problem. People are bringing, if it's a boat we need, Terry, somebody is going to like, I have a boat. You know, we need an office for media campaign. Someone, I have this, please come and take it. The person is not hoping to get a political position, nothing. Most times people just like, please, I just want it acknowledged that I helped. I just, you know, I have people quietly like, my job, I can't say anything, but please, I really want to help. In what way can I help? And we're grateful for all of that.
You know, you make it sound so smooth. I like your confidence. And it sort of makes me It takes me back to the conversation I had with the Minister of Science and Tech, who said that it would be the miracle of the century for Peter Obi to win that election. And politicians like that base their arguments on voting blocks. No one person wins an election just by winning a particular region. It's not possible. The Director General of your campaign council, Doyin Okupe, says that conversations or talks are still on with the new Nigeria People's Party, led by Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is also a presidential candidate. And it is not certain that if they couldn't get a merger that would produce either of them as president and vice president, that at this point he would give up his ambition to support Peter Obi. It is not clear. But what this means is that the Labour Party understands the importance of the northern votes, perhaps Kano. So the question is, what happens, or what are the chances of the Labour Party if you don't get those northern votes, or if that alliance or merger with the New Nigeria People's Party doesn't come through? What happens to the Labour Party in the north and maybe Kano because of the voting population there?
So another problem we tend to have is looking at the north as a monolith. Like, oh, there's just one group of people in the north, and if they don't give us their vote, we're done, right? We expect votes from Kano, yes, but there's so much that northern Nigeria is made of. Over 250 tribes. My senatorial zone alone has 53. There's so many types of people in northern Nigeria, and these so many types of people in northern Nigeria support Peter Obi. There's so much support from northern Nigeria. I mean, you saw what happened when he went to Taraba. That police had to stand between him and people, and these people were reaching out. Let me just touch the hem of this man's garment. Like, this was Taraba State. And if you talk to other Nigerians about Taraba, we're like, oh, the north, how are we going to get the votes from the north? But in places in the north, you know, these votes are coming out. And what I've been saying in the campaign is, look, we know where votes are going to come out from in the north. Go in there, pluck from your key base in the north, and come out. But we're going to get votes from northern Nigeria. That is it. Kano, all of these places are going to deliver. And when we talk about regional politics, I honestly really hate to use the short time, and every time I get is too short, to be honest. The short time I have to market Peter Obi to talk about other candidates, but to be honest, he's not running on a regional mandate. He's the person that's told, do not vote for me because I'm from this place. Vote for me because I can deliver. We have one candidate telling you Yoruba Lokan, another candidate in another party saying, oh, you know what, take away zoning from the primaries. If we take it to the north, we're sure to get the votes of the north. And then there's one candidate who is saying, irrespective of where I come from, let's look at my abilities. And we cannot refer to that candidate as a regional candidate. I'm from Kaduna State. I support this man. Two other spokespersons are from northern Nigeria. We have spokespersons from the southwest, southeast, south. I mean, all of that is covered. We have of course, the campaign DG is from South. Even the head of the media is from the Southwest. I mean, this covers so many different places. You've seen the likes of Ireti Kingibe, Nanadi Usman. We have people. We have, just because they're not all over the media all the time. We do have people. So I do not think that Peter Obi is a regional candidate. I don't think that is the conversation I should go for. Candidates who consider themselves regional candidates and have their regions in the Southwest, for example, clearly split on who they are going to vote for should be the most worried. Candidates who are considering themselves northern candidates and cannot go and campaign in places like Borno without fracas, places like Kaduna without fracas happening, while Labor Party people have come out and held rallies in these areas peacefully, should be the people that should be questioning whether they are really the candidates of the region that they say that, you know, they are going to get the votes of those regions they say they are going to get the votes from. So that's clear.
You know, we're getting into the issues now, one of which is security. And apart from saying that he wouldn't divulge his security plans, which for some is quite commendable, he's gone a step further to talk about the need to dialogue with certain aggrieved segments of the society who feel the need to be included. When he was in Benue State a couple of days ago, he assured the people of securing them if he becomes president. Now, the concern in Benue State is largely farmers and herders. That state has enacted a law against open grazing. That topic wasn't touched. Assuring them of security without talking, without sort of either accepting the fact that that law would help or not, many would question whether he is shying away from such a controversial matter because of the tribes involved.
Yeah. So the open grazing conversation, right, it's not an attack against herders. The open grazing, the banning of open grazing conversation is about a better way to herd. That's it. So I think that the wrong thing we go about this is we make it look like this is punishment to all herders for what is happening and all of that. But the truth about it isn't. On my way, I mean, I live just close to the station here. And on my way, I saw our cows, Nigerian cows, trekking again, and I was like, these cows are going through the most. And there's no other country really where I see these things. I mean, where I've gone to that I really see these things. Even those with the highest number of beef output that I see this happening. You know, this is not healthy for the herders themselves. It puts them in harm's way. A lot of herders have their cows taken away from them. A lot of herders are attacked in the bushes. So we're looking at the point that, you know, this is not safe for all involved at this moment. And this is also not as productive. We need healthier cows, we need greater output and all of that. And I think that when you're looking at the open grazing conversation, this is the way to go about it. So for me, it's even a greater output conversation, a better way of doing this conversation. And then, sorry, and with respect to security, the key conversation with insecurity in Nigeria and what we need to face is justice, the concept of justice. And I think that that is what the candidate was, I believe that's what the candidate was trying to put forward. The wording may not have been, or would have been, the wording was in a way that could have been taken advantage of. But the truth is, some of the times when something happens, they agree, where it escalates is that the first person to do something does not face justice. And the people who are at the receiving end look at it and like, oh, we haven't gotten justice from the Nigerian state. And when the Nigerian state has not interpreted justice in the best way possible, or has even failed to interpret it in the first place, people begin to take the law into their own hands. And that is one of the first things we're going to approach.
Just a second. So the Nigerians want a firm candidate.
Yeah.
When the issue of the burning of the Sokoto lady, Deborah, happened,
yeah,
people came for the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for the tweets that was eventually deleted. There were concerns that he wasn't firm. Now, my question was that Benue State government has taken a step to address this issue security-wise, and I'm not talking about productivity. And the government believes that preventing herders from roaming would address the issue and keep the farmers safe in their farms.
And the herders
the crop
safe
farmers,
too.
Exactly.
And the herders
so both
safe
keeping
too.
both away from each other.
Not just each other. Herders come under attacks of these marauding
That's my
people
point.
too.
My point is, if you keep them away from each other based on the law, it will address the security concerns. Now, based on that, according to him, he's received threats saying there will be no peace in the state until that law is revoked. Where would your candidate stand on the open grazing law?
Our candidate stand on the open grazing law is still that there are better ways to graze. And because of that, like I said, it's not just about a security issue. Security is at an intersection of this. But you have to look at it from all angles. We're not even some of the best, we're not among the best producers of beef in Nigeria. And with the number of herders we have, we can. So many other groups of people in Nigeria can also herd cows. You know, so if you're looking at it from all angles, we need to have ranches. This conversation has even been held with candidates of other parties. We need to have ranches. It needs to be safer for both the herder and the farmer to do this. I mean, outside of this crisis, there's so many things that the herders themselves face. These young children, have you seen the ages of some of the people herding cows? It's not healthy for them. So it's not just about this situation. It's that all around we need to look at this system and appreciate that the world has moved to better practices. And so it is counterproductive for Nigeria to remain in this system just for the sake of it, or because, the conversation has now left the original place in which we can make better herding practices for Nigeria. It has now entered a proper crisis situation, and every conversation we're having is within the context of that crisis, right? So it looks like groups are angry, and look, whatever it is, we're not going to accept ranching because it's going to look like the other side has won if we accept ranching. And so what we are saying, and our approach to this is, it's not a matter of who has won the argument if we bring in ranching, is that even for you herders, this approach is diplomatic. Even for you herders, this is a better way. Ranching is a better way. It's a healthier way. It's better for your children. It's better for you. It's better for all involved. So our target is also to make life easier. Sorry, for even the herders themselves. Our target is to make life easier for the farmers, for the herders. It's not to punish. This is the approach, and that's why it's bringing controversy. It looks like it is to punish.
So that's the perception.
Yes, the perception is like we're punishing herders. Oh, this is happening, and so we're going to punish herders by taking away their right to move around. No.
Let's look at the antecedents of your candidates now. Let's begin with social welfare. and addressing the issue of poverty. Let's look at how he fared in Anambra State. Now, that's a small state, perhaps one of the smallest states in Nigeria. And the World Bank has already released the statistics which says we have at least 95 million Nigerians who are poor now. How did he fare in addressing poverty in Anambra State?
One of the first things he did, and this is why I appreciate him as someone who is technical in his approach, that's the first governor to actually carry out poverty mapping. And I think he did it. I can't remember the name of the international organization. You mentioned World Bank, it'll be one of those. But he actually carried out poverty mapping. And that poverty mapping is what enabled, policies, because you can't just jump up and say, we are going to get 5 million people out of poverty. We are going to provide, you carry, what's the name, sewing machines and go and drop. You have not looked at what the issue is. And I think that is, I believe, building from that has helped. And when you come into Nigeria, as a whole, that is going to help. When you look at the situation, you first map out, what are the causes? Why are we where we are? What have we done before that has led us here? All of that was done. Which are the areas that are more critically affected? Why are they affected in the manner that they are? And I believe he did that. And I also believe, this poverty thing is, it's the ground where everything comes to meet, right? You have insecurity can be something that causes it and can also be as a result. So it's a double-edged sword, right? And I believe that in sorting a lot of these things, from education, with the things he did with education, with the things that he did with healthcare, with what he did with respect to bringing in investors. Remember SAB Miller that he brought to set up their facility in Anambra State, which also helped, bring in people like Innocent. These are things that grow, number one, employment, help grow businesses, bring in investments into the state. This is a state that did not have some of these things prior and made Anambra a fertile ground for that. So as I can see that you're checking it out.
No,
so, yeah.
I'm trying to sort of follow up on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because while you talked about the mapping, you didn't talk about perhaps statistics or programs that he put in place that addressed poverty in Anambra State.
So of course I did. I mentioned bringing in companies to come and start work. And I talked about poverty being an in and out thing, poverty being a cause of several issues, and poverty being a result of several issues. So if you look at poverty, for example, you can't remove education, right, from something that this is something that causes it. And you look at what he was able to do in these schools, of course, renovations, rebuilding of some of these schools, providing materials. Right from the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned to you what he was able to do with providing a lot of computers, I think over 30,000 computers, to improve the way these children learned. Some of the people who came forward to talk about education with respect to Peter Obi's work said, look, for the first time, there was an incentive for me for doing well from the system. And this is something that helps. A poor child from nowhere, I'm carrying first in school, and the governor comes, number one, ensures that, I think some of these people got upwards of 1 million naira for being the best graduates. People have never seen that. And this helps even the poorest of the poor to focus. Look, I need to. You saw a sharp increase in their performance in WAEC. You saw a sharp increase. These are people, again, Anambra State is not the wealthiest of states, you would say that.
There are people who would not be interested in formal education. So in terms of informal education and skills acquisition, what did he do?
In terms of informal and skills acquisition, of course, this is also a place that is known for its production. And he made this better, of course, putting into place these marketplaces. A lot of the time, the infrastructure in these marketplaces were very poor. Putting into place, building some of these places for people to be able to function better, especially people who cannot usually afford these places to even work in. Enabling them. Of course, when you come to Igbo land, you know that there's a system in place that helps people. I think it's the apprenticeship system. The apprenticeship system is already in place. So when you have the system already that helps to bring up traders from rural areas and help these traders to become better, what do? You make sure that you do not stand in the way of these people getting their job done, and you create a conducive environment for them to be able to foster. And that's what he did. When you put in the infrastructure in place, you ensure that you put in that infrastructure in place, marketplaces, places where they can go and do their businesses, you ensure security, all of that for them to function. Because the situation with Anambra is peculiar. They are already business people, a lot of them, spread across. When I served in the Southeast, I didn't serve in Anambra, but just a culture amongst Igbo people, I realized that you won't have people who are just straying around, who come and wash your clothes and you give them something small. Right there in Ngo, in the village, somebody has set up a washing, a laundromat, right there in the village. So this is how these places are. The best thing Peter Obi could have done, and what he did, was to make sure that he created a conducive environment, made sure that infrastructure was in place, marketplaces were improved upon, places where these people go to work was improved upon for them to work.
Do you know why I ask this question? Yeah. 4 years is a short time. And the country is perhaps so, should I say, depleted. The hopes of a lot of Nigerians are depleted. And there are those who do not understand that within 4 years, most of their desires or their hopes would not be met. And poverty is one that many believe that within 4 years there are people who have nothing who believe that once Peter Obi goes in there, in 4 years, they'll probably be doing well. And I listened to him speak with, I think, Zainasha on this matter. When he was asked about how he would address the issue of poverty, he moved to security instead, saying that if he could address security issues, that would,
because they are intertwined.
They are intertwined, that's fine. But it's difficult to explain that to the average Nigerian, that you spend time addressing insecurity instead of putting food on my table. There are governors who have gone ahead to do a lot of infrastructural projects, but that hasn't directly impacted on the poverty rates in their states. Yeah,
I mean, this is what poverty mapping does, and this is why I tied the infrastructure to the key things that were associated, this infrastructure for markets and places that people could function. Right, so when we come to the national level at this point, you're looking at poverty mapping again. We need to know what's happening. Now, if you look at insecurity, I really, really hate to pound on my governor, El-Rufai. There are things that El-Rufai has done right in Kaduna State, but one of the major issues he faces is insecurity. At the end of the day, if you touch roads, do this one, do that one, do that one. But people cannot carry about their businesses. And I'm just trying to point out the angle Peter Obi was coming from, that right now, you can say you've done A, B, C, D, E. But if people cannot function because of this, which is a great issue right now that we're facing, that many people cannot go to farms and function. Many people cannot go about their businesses. People that could carry goods across, many of these goods cannot go anymore. People can't travel across the place for business anymore in the way that they used to. This is where security, this is the intersection of security, and I think that was what he was trying to address. And the government can see we've done so much, and they tend to say that we've done so much, just that this insecurity thing. But that insecurity thing is not just that. It's a major cause of what we're going through right now. But with respect to other things, the major job of a government, right, is not to interfere with the people, but create conducive grounds for people to function, and that is what we're here to do. Poverty mapping, first things first. I mean, these are things you need to hit the ground running. We also need to look at the policies that this government has put in place.
But governments are supposed to provide social security.
And that is also the things that we're saying, that, look, you're not interfering in their lives. Social security is also something conducive you're putting on ground to ensure you put social security there, and you watch your people, they blossom on their own. That's it. You're supposed to provide these things and the people blossom. So I'm saying that, look, right now we're looking at a lot of policies, from the FX policy of this government to import and export policies and all of that. There are key things that you can draw a straight line, like, this is what this government has done, and it has led us to where we are at. Remember the problem we had with the border closure before they came and resigned on it, but that was kind of too late. So much had happened. So we're going to look at key things that have led us to where we are now, and those are some of the things we're going to face.
You know, I really wish that manifesto was out already. So
it's going to come.
How soon will it be out?
It will soon be out. It will soon be out. A group of intellectuals are working on it. We have been sitting on this, and it is going to be out. I'm not going to excuse a delay, but a manifesto is not something that you can just cough out just because, oh, this person has one, that person has one, let me rush out. It's a serious thing. It's Nigeria we're talking about, and it takes time.
So what do we expect from that manifesto? It's not out, but there was one that was out which was withdrawn. And it contained about 7 items with details. I think Nigerians would like to know what to expect.
What to expect is a social contract with the Nigerian people, and that is what is missing. That's what is missing between the political class and Nigerians. A social contract that, look, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make your life better. That is it. You've given us trust, and this is what we're giving in return. And of course, across a wide range of things, again, from the economy to health, to education, to gender, that's really my thing, to security, all of these things we're going to face. All of this, but the thematic thing binding it is that it's a social contract. Nigerians, this is what you deserve, and this is what we are going to deliver. We're not saying that 4 years we are going to perform magic, but within that 4 years, what you're going to see is a commitment to the Nigerian, to a sense of nationhood, to giving Nigerians a sense of pride, a sense of dignity, that their lives actually matter, and this is how we're going to show them that their lives matter.
Hey, let me just ask you this final question. There's so much euphoria around Peter Obi. There are polls coming out saying that he could win this thing.
Of course.
And the Obidients, with the massive movement, believe that this is our one opportunity. If he doesn't win in 2023, what happens to the Obidient movement? And what happens to this adjustment that has come to Nigerian politics?
Number one, he will win in 2023, and beyond 2023, the Obidient movement will continue. This is something that has caught on like wildfire, but it's not going to die anytime soon. New people are realizing that, look, I don't have to come from a political family. I do not have to have been trained in politics. I don't have to be some politician's boy or anything or girl to be able to participate in politics. All I need is the interest. And with that interest, I can throw in my time and energy and I'll see results. And so when people, look, when you create a reward system, when somebody puts their 1 + 1 and it's equals to 2, and their 2 × 2 is equals to 4, those are incentives to continue. And that is what we're seeing. So when Peter Obi wins, the movement is not going to go back and relax. A lot of these people are seeing that when I put my effort in politics, something will come out of it. When I put it behind the right person, something will come out of it. And sometimes, even I can be the right person. This is opening so many people, especially Gen Z, to politics, to political participation. So we're going to see an increase in political participation. We no longer have to start crying and creating so many programs for young people to participate.
I see a renewed hope and
yes.
confidence. I
so
hope. 2027, you give it another shot now. You return to active politics?
Well, I mean, I'm already here. I'm already here. I really hope that more than anything, I've spoken to the Nigerian, and then those of you in the studio, I mean you, I'm hoping that, someone has been converted. Don't worry, you don't have to say yes. But I believe that with some of the things I've said, in fact, with everything I've said here, Terry, I've touched something in your heart. I can see it.
Ndi Kato, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Political Paradigm.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's Political Paradigm today. It's always a pleasure. It's always lovely to have a female on the show. I believe that we should encourage more women to participate in politics and be vocal as well. That's the show, everyone. Thanks for your time. Remember to catch this episode and others on YouTube. Simply search Political Paradigm or go to channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.